You have 11 o'clock?
I am 11. Go
Okay.
for it.
Good morning. It's 11 o'clock on the 6th of May. This is the Bismarck Event Center Authority Board meeting. We're in the Tom Baker Room of the City County Building. We will call the meeting to order first, if we can call roll.
Member Grossman,
Here.
Kostelecki,
Here.
Tomanik,
Here.
Mayor Schmitz,
Here.
Wilson,
Here.
Wachter.
Here. All right. First item is public comment. Anyone who wish to speak to an item on this agenda or the prior meeting agenda, please come forward, identify yourself, and state what you're talking about, and sign in. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Seeing no one, hearing no one online, the public comment period is now closed. Item 3 is approval of minutes from last meeting.
Move to approve?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Grossman,
Yes.
Kostelecki,
Yes.
Tomanik,
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Gardner, Wachter.
Yes.
Okay. Next item is to receive the Event Center financial report, and I will just say that I spoke with Eric last week, and I saw him walk in, so I know he's here. So the report is abbreviated again, and I suggested that he even make a request that we try to move the meeting back by maybe a week to give him and OVG in the future more time to complete the monthly financial report, so we can have more current financial information. But Eric, you've got some information to present, so.
Yes, I do. Mayor, board members, as I was walking down the stairs this morning for the meeting, it dawned on me I put so much thought in the last 2 months. Looking from an income expense perspective, I have failed to ever present balance sheet related items to you for the event center. So I will work on that for the next go around, so you have an idea of what our balance sheet accounts look like, where our receivables, our payables, for a snapshot in time, and as well as our cash. But looking at the information that was in your packet, again, like the mayor had mentioned, this is abbreviated as of April 29th, midday. And so the one comment I will make from last month to this month, Sue Wald, who was at the event center, is now a fiscal services staff member here at the city still, has made great strides in getting caught up in recognizing our revenues and our expenses, our show settlements, and those types of things that have taken place February and March, that due to the volume of things that were going on and the abbreviated staff roster that they had to work with, we were a little bit behind. So looking at these financials, you'll see a fairly significant jump looking at our operating revenues for the event center as a whole. And that's due to the efforts of Sue and the event center staff trying to get all of the things done that they can prior to the transition with OVG taking place on May 1st. We're not done yet. We still have, I think, about 4 or 5 events yet that have taken place towards the end of April that we're working through getting those things built out. And I think the estimated revenue is somewhere probably around $35,000 that we're not seeing for those activities looking at this time frame.
Would all the expenses be in, though?
Generally, yes, all of our expenses that we have taken care of, whether it's advertising, payroll, those regular operating expenses would be recognized in this already.
Okay.
So I guess just holistically, for the event center, for all 3 buildings, the overall operating income for the year to this point is about $179,000, a little bit more than that. If you remember, that was a negative number in March when we reported. We're actually up about $284,000, and that's a direct result of getting all of those events billed out, reconciled, and taken care of. You'll notice at the bottom, we're starting to see some motel hotel transfer money coming in. That's the 25% of our 2% occupancy tax that goes towards the event center to help fund their operations. Initially, at the beginning of the year, the first part of that money goes to the city to help cover the administrative costs associated with maintaining that money. And then the 25% will come to the event center operationally every month through the remainder of the year. There does end up being about 10, 11 payments of that annually for that, but the first amount is about $6,800. And then you'll notice the lodging, liquor, food, that number increased, that debt repayment. We put in 1/12 of the annual principal and interest payment on the exhibit hall expansion. So specifically looking at the arena and the exhibit hall, that number for operating income is about just under $215,000 at this point in time. That's an increase of about $280,000 from the last report at the April meeting. I mean, as you know, with the schedule, there was a lot of events that were taking place in the arena and the exhibit hall in March and April. State basketball, WDA basketball, those types of things. We're now getting those things reconciled and looking, they're accounted for in the financials. And then just real briefly with the Bell, they're still operating at a loss currently at the year, which is generally to be expected given the nature of the building and the type of performances that go on there. It did have a decrease in the loss, so we actually had a gain recognized of about $3,700 at the Bell from the last reporting period. So,
Okay. Does anyone have questions of Eric? Go ahead, Chad.
Eric, I just want to thank you for all the efforts that you put into this, so appreciate it from our last meeting to today. These look great, so
Okay.
thank you for everything that you
absolutely.
do.
And then I guess I forgot one thing too. The mayor at last meeting had asked that I include the lodging, liquor, food, cash balance at the bottom. That is the amount of money that we use to pay down the debt, as well as the capital projects for the event center. Looking at that number, as of last week, it was about 9.1 million. Obviously, we have a large HVAC project going on in this year and the next couple of years that we'll be utilizing the majority of that. But
Plus a wayfinding project,
yes, and the wayfinding project.
and we may have a few others that are going to come forward to us.
Yep. So I would expect, I'll continue to include that number as this financial report goes on and we figure out what that looks like with city staff, myself, or with OVG staff, and how we're going to report these financials going forward to the board. But I'll continue to include that, but know that we'll see that number fluctuate generally down quite significantly over the next couple of years.
So and as that goes on, with providing the balance sheet or statement of net assets, that's going to give us a bit of a look into some of that too. But it might not be bad to start scheduling out as we get ideas of what those costs are going to be and the timing for the HVAC in particular, because that's the big item, so that this board can see what that looks like.
Okay.
As Jeff and his team at Ubel get that more refined and as bids start going.
Sure.
And maybe we can even show the ins and outs of in that particular cash account.
Sure.
It's restricted, so I think it would be good to see that. Anybody else have comments? Jason?
Maybe if I may, just for the board's awareness, I did receive an email from Jeff Ubel earlier this week with a proposed bidding schedule for the HVAC and the lighting projects. He's got Monday, June 22nd, documents due, advertisement for bid, a few weeks then on, July 13th would be the bid opening.
Okay. Yes.
Correct, July 13th.
Okay. If there are no other questions for Eric, thank you, Eric.
You bet.
I do think this would be a time would it be okay with this board if we delayed or moved our meeting from the first Wednesday to the second Wednesday? That would give everybody a bit more time. We're never going to be perfect, but at least there'd be more reconciliation done, and hopefully it gives time to get a more true cutoff at the end of the month.
Yeah,
Does that give you enough time, Eric? 1 week or is 2 weeks better?
I mean, I can pretty much assure you, if we met in the third week, we would always have the previous month taken care of, recognizing the work that OVG is going to have to do to prepare their part of it, and then for us as city staff to be able to get that entered into our accounting software to give a comprehensive picture, because there are certain aspects of this operation that the city of Bismarck is still going to have to issue payments to OVG or to capital construction vendors, and recognizing those things. So by the third week, I can pretty much guarantee that would take place, depending on how the calendar falls. The second week, we still may run into some issues, but it's less likely than meeting the first Wednesday. It's almost impossible for us to get it done.
So what I'm hearing you're saying is we would have more accurate information on the third week versus the second?
For sure.
So,
You'd have a complete monthly picture.
Mayor, board members,
It doesn't matter to me. My only concern going into June is that's gonna be almost 2 months before we meet again. I might suggest that we maybe try to have a special meeting in 2 weeks, if possible. It can be done just to get the financial statements, and we can do it by teams. Just so we kind of get to a regular cadence that's appropriate, and
yeah,
Go ahead, Jen.
Mayor, board members, I think that's a good idea. I think we'll have a meeting coming up, that way we can get into a rhythm, and then the third week, so you can get all the information compiled.
so I might ask for a motion for both those changes to be more appropriate.
We kind of jumped ahead. That's number 7 on our agenda.
Well-
Regular meeting date discussion. We're being really efficient today, but
Well,
if I can just offer, I would prefer the third Wednesday. I've got a significant conflict on the second and fourth Wednesdays following city commission meetings. So if the third Wednesday of every month works for everyone else's schedule, I would prefer that one. It
That
sounds
would
like that
work.
works better for finance as well. Yeah, okay.
So I think, I'm sorry, jumped
No,
ahead.
that's
but
okay.
It was kind of tied to this, so, I think it would be appropriate if we had a motion to, A, request a special meeting, and 2, to change our regular cadence to the third Wednesday.
So I would like to have a motion to move our advisory board meetings monthly to the third Wednesday of each month. And in the month of May, to have a special meeting towards the end of May or the first week of June to cover whatever we would need to do in that interim timeframe.
Could you repeat the first part of that motion? Sorry.
I'd like to move the Bismarck Event Center Authority Board monthly meeting to the third Wednesday of
Got it.
each month.
Okay. I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
just to clarify, are we also gonna make a part of this motion, the special meeting in 2 weeks?
That's what she was
Yep.
referring
That
to,
Is that what the
but,
motion was?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
and it's mostly for the financial report.
Yeah.
But I guess if there was something else that came up, we could notice the meeting agenda.
And maybe just for what it's worth, Whitney would poll the authority board members for the best date and time. So we don't know exactly when that'll be, but I would anticipate an email either by the end of the day or tomorrow, gauging everyone's availability, recognizing board member Gardner's not here also, so.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll call roll.
Mayor Schmitz,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
Kostelecki,
Yes,
Tomanik,
Yes,
Wachter.
Yes.
Okay, next item is mission and vision statement discussion. I think, Jen, you've had some comments that have been provided to everybody else, and I'm just open to what everybody would like to see.
there is a printed copy of the various ones that were offered for discussion from, was it 2 meetings ago? And I think Jen's comments are included in the packet here.
Yes.
There we go.
Mayor and board members, I still kind of like the first one best. I think that was the one that Chad had worked on, unless the rest of you think that's maybe a little bit long, but I do kind of think it covers everything.
So, Mayor and board members, my only comment to that would be mission statements typically are a little shorter,
Yeah.
you know, and so, and yes, is this more of a vision statement?
It is a vision statement, as,
Then a
as
mission
I,
statement?
yep, exactly.
You know, and I was playing around with a few of them, and of course, I didn't email them because I forgot. But some of the couple ones that I found, one very simple: connecting people, elevating experience, strengthening community. So I was trying to figure the whole reason for this board. What is our, call it 3 pillars? What are the 3 things that we want to do as this board? Have that as our mission statement, and then within our vision statement, now you can expand on those 3 or 4 or 2 pillars, whatever the group would decide.
Could you repeat that, Joel? Connecting people?
Elevating experience, strengthening community.
I
As
think-
it through our meetings, the themes that and everything that we've talked about, it kind of seems like those are our 3 themes. I might be missing one.
Maybe the economic development component that kind of carries through in a few of these. I don't know if that's, I mean, that's always been I guess one of the tenets of the event center is that it brings events and it brings people together, but it brings money
Right.
to the community.
And I was trying to get through strengthen community.
We could just, if we wanted to add the final phrase, something to the effect of economic development, it could say something like, to promote economic growth.
Yeah.
So you'd have 4 phrases. It's still a little bit long, but it's still more succinct. I actually think the quote-unquote mission statement that's listed first is more in line then to be with a vision to tie to that.
Agreed.
And that, I like that
Yes.
as a vision statement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but don't want to dominate things here.
Right.
And the vision statement does include events that drive economic growth. So maybe it doesn't need to be part of the mission statement because it could become part of that longer vision statement. So.
But I think the vision statement, or the short mission is kind of what people are going to see the most.
I like it. It's snappy.
I do too.
I mean, I would entertain a motion of some portion, or we could just redraft, craft them, and then next meeting, that could be part of our agenda, just the final adoption, and have just the final 2
Yeah.
mission and vision statements. Maybe that makes most sense, I don't know.
Mayor, board members, I think that's a good idea. I think we should come back to the next meeting with a final version of it. That way we can make sure everything's worded.
Okay. I guess, Jason, that's on you.
Not a problem.
Okay. Item 6, and this is a request, so it's OVG and the Dominion LLC contract discussions. Chad, I'll let you brought it, so.
Yeah. Mayor, members, when OVG started operations, they weren't unable to get the North Dakota State liquor license, portion of their liquor license. They got it completed, but they still haven't heard back from the state of North Dakota, and it would have delayed their ability to sell alcohol beverages at the facility. So they had reached out to one of the entities that I have called The Domain, which has a Class D liquor license. And we had come to an agreement and made arrangements to work with the city through special use or special event permits for the events that are going to be held at the event center, and to assist them so they could not have a lapse in the ability to to sell alcoholic beverages while they're waiting for the state to issue their license. I felt that because of my involvement on this board and with the event center, I was a little uneasy about, I wanted to make sure that this was disclosed to all of you so you knew about it in case you heard something about it from somebody that you knew what was going on with it. So I had requested that this be put on the agenda so I could disclose this to you and have the ability to, if you have any concerns or questions, just so you know what's going on.
So the only question I have, and it's more, again, for transparency, is what's the economic relationship for them utilizing the license?
So they are ordering directly through the distributors. Because of the way that the law is, they have to debit our operating account. We are going to wait until the end of the month, and then we'll issue an invoice to OVG for that. We also have costs associated with the permits that we obtained from the city. And then to cover overhead, there's been quite a bit of work with this, having somebody in my office deal with filling out forms and submitting stuff to the city. We included a 10% above cost for our time for doing that.
Okay. So, and I just think that was important for the
Yes.
transparency to be out there. So questions?
And if anybody has any concerns about that or feels like that's an unfair arrangement, I would rather just have the discussion up front and deal with it now than have it be something that anybody's upset about, so.
Go ahead, Jason.
Maybe just for the rest of the authority board. So the process that the domain went through is a very common process that the city administration department facilitates. So many of the businesses that hold an alcohol license have the ability to do a special event, which is essentially an off-site location where they are providing alcoholic beverages. And so as I mentioned, it's very common. We have a pretty streamlined application process that we go through. And if I had to guess, I'd say on average, we're somewhere north of 150 special event permits on an annual basis. And so, again, this isn't it's unique in that the timing for OVG didn't line up with the obtaining the city license and the state license necessary to operate. But in this case, the domain isn't doing anything out of the ordinary that many, many other businesses in our community are doing on a regular basis. So just for a little context there.
So and this is already in effect, but I do think we should ratify it with a vote that we feel it's an appropriate arm's length transaction. My opinion, I think it's only fair that happen. I don't know that the 10% margin, I have no idea if that's high, low. I think it's reasonable. Like there's a cost involved on the domain side that isn't otherwise covered. There's no question about that. So,
When are we anticipating the state license and city license to go through?
I'm looking at OVG, maybe Brad's got an answer for that one.
So all the paperwork has been submitted. We're just waiting on background checks to come back from the states of Wyoming and Montana. As soon as they receive those background checks, then we will be issued the license. All the permit part has been done, the fees have been paid. We're just waiting on those states to get back with background information. And our permit was submitted a month ago. So it's been a cause of the background check information not being sent to the proper location by the state of North Dakota, and push that process way back. So we're working with the state and checking every day to see when they have that information.
So this is going to be a very short-term arrangement, correct?
yep.
And this isn't something that, just for transparency, that need to be put out to bids or anything like that, or not?
No, Doug, help me out. What is the number of days allowed for a special event permit?
I believe it's 7.
Okay.
And then the domain has been applying for each event individually, so there's no complications there.
So again, it's to maybe elaborate on that a little bit, it's following the exact same process that we would be doing for any special event permit for any other business in the community.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Right, and if there's an issue with the 10%, I mean, we could just keep track of time and bill an hourly rate for what my staff has been doing, or if it's a real issue, I'll donate the 10% to a charity. But I don't want there to be any issues with anything, so.
I don't have a problem with the 10%. I think understanding that each special event license only lasts 7 days helps me fill in the gaps of the time that's going into it. I appreciate your ability to support the event center during and OVG during this time frame.
I would entertain a motion to ratify because it's already been entered into. And then I would ask that Chad not vote.
I'd make a motion to ratify the, what exactly are we ratifying?
The,
The contract between
yeah,
OVG and Domain LLC.
for alcohol, utilization of their alcohol license.
All right, so I make a motion to ratify the contract between OVG and Domain LLC for the use of special permit alcohol.
Excuse me, Mayor. Is there an actual contract or is it just an agreement?
Chad can respond to that. I
Yeah,
don't know
so-
what it is.
So we do have an agreement for the use of the, of the license. So it's for the use of the license. There's also some indemnification language in there in case something would happen, and a requirement for insurance and the standard things that you would see in an agreement like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll
I-
second it. Oh,
Okay.
Jason did.
Go ahead.
Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, and I am going to abstain when it comes time to vote, but I am wondering that if it wouldn't be in the best, and I'm not trying to complicate things, but I wonder before we vote, if the agreement shouldn't actually be distributed to the members so they can actually see what it is, so that they know exactly what they're voting on.
That is a fair request. We could ratify, you could withdraw the motion, and we could ratify at the next meeting, the special meeting. That'd probably be best, actually, Chad, if we did put that out in front. Plus, it'll give more transparency when the vote occurs, because people can look at it. And I guess if somebody else wants to come in and offer their liquor license for less money, they could do that, but I'd be surprised.
With a timeline of doing that at our next event, would that pause or delay the use of the liquor license, event license during upcoming events? Could we possibly do it via an email vote or a Teams meeting?
I would, Mayor, Jen, members, I think, we have the agreement in place. We have all the permits and everything that we need. And my opinion would be that I don't think there's we're not jeopardizing anything by waiting the 2 weeks to ratify, but
So I think the only thing that's in question, is the compensation portion back to the domain, because everything else is just pass-through cost.
and we're not gonna be invoicing anything until, the end of the month, so we should have plenty of time. I don't want to hit them with invoice after invoice after invoice. We're just going to try to make it easy and simple, and so we will not invoice anything until after this has been ratified.
Okay, so we should,
I can withdraw the motion.
okay. And where was the second?
Jason.
My notes said Sherry had it, so.
Okay,
I
okay.
agreed.
So no action, it'll be on the special meeting agenda. All right. Moving to the next item, the 2026 stub year budget. And We've been provided some of that information. This is obviously an estimate of what's going to happen, but Brad and team have done some work, knowing that, the first 3.5 months of the year were big months at the facilities from a revenue standpoint.
Or you've got copies, that'd be great, yeah, if we could pass them out. No. Yeah, I just wanted to put it up on the board. If not, I can just read off of it. There we go. There it is. Mr. Mayor, Authority Board members, first I'd like to say it's great to be here as a representative of OVG, but more as a representative of the Bismarck Event Center. I would like to introduce or have our OVG support staff who's been here on the finance end of it. I'd like them to stand up and introduce themselves, and they'll kind of give you a brief synopsis of what they're doing here in Bismarck to help provide on that end. So, Carla, you want to go first?
Hi, good morning. I'm Carla Mazik. I am in Louisiana, so I'm a remote director of field finance. I help onboard the new buildings. I help when there's a missing finance director or if the finance team gets behind. So I helped my supervisor, Jessica, interview and hire the accounting team for Bismarck. I'm excited about that because it's like you're starting your team fresh. It's people that you picked. They're doing very well. We started 2 weeks ago with the accounting team on property. Elizabeth is our accounting manager. She was 2 weeks ago. Brendan is going to be our staff accountant. And we have our director of finance here with us today. This is Tanya. I cannot pronounce her last name yet. So I'm going to let Tanya pronounce her last name and give you a little bit of her history.
Would you mind coming to the podium?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, yeah. For anybody viewing online or otherwise, they wouldn't be able to hear all the good things you just said.
All right. Hello.
Thank you.
I am Tanya Bercaglia. I'm from Connecticut. I have been the director of finance at a building there for the past 6 years. So I'm really, familiar with Oakview Group and how we do things. I'm excited to start here and be the director of finance. And it looks like we have a good team, a good starting base. It's going to need some training, new systems that need to be put in place, but I have a great feeling about everything that we're going to do at this building, so I'm excited.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the advisory board, Anna Rosberg. I am the district general manager. I've met all of you multiple times now through the business development process. Based in Grand Forks, oversee most of the cold states for OVG. Excited that we're finally here and we're in, and we've got a good start. We've had a lot of resources come in the last couple of weeks and a lot more coming up. So, and there's been some show announcements which are great. So I think we've got a lot of positive momentum. And as you know, my job is just to support Brad and the team and anything we need and connect to OVG resources. So looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right, thank you. As we jump into this, this has been a process that we've been working on now for, at least a month, Carla? And I will say that Carla has been the one to dive deep into it. We've worked hand in hand. It is a process, and so really tried to hone in on the information that we had available. Not saying that, obviously this is a roadmap. This is, obviously we'll try to hit these goals and these marks as much as we can with the understanding that there will be changes to it as we get into it. So as you look at this, what we have here is the combined budget for all the buildings. We do break those buildings out indirect expense-wise into 50, 40, and 10%. 50 for the arena, 40 for the exhibit hall, and 10% for the bell. And that means that all of our indirect expenses are divided by that way. And that would be all the lines where it says indirect expenses are. Okay, and you can see that Carla has it expanded out that way. All right, we really tried to delve into the events and tried to get an idea of the history of what these events were making for us, and tried to, given what we had currently on the calendar, to hone in and figure out what we had as far as event income. So as you can see there, we've got concerts, we've got the convention shows in the exhibit hall, and then we kind of have the family shows that are in the Bell. Those are net figures. Those are not gross dollars, those are net figures. All right, so, not a lot of extra income there, given what we currently have on the books. So you go down to the indirects. Well, you can look at the gross profit of those events. That total event profit is just a little bit over $1 million. You add sponsorship dollars that we currently kind of have on the books, and so you're looking at revenues in the stub year of about $1.35 million. Now we go down to the indirect expenses. That's everything that it takes to operate our facilities. And again, this was based upon the history that we have right now. All right, with the reduced staffing, with the reduced numbers that have been utilized for the past couple of years. And, the biggest change you will see here is with the wages and the benefits. And that is due to the fact that we've had to add positions. We've had to add 3 positions in finance. We've had to add, what are our other positions? Help me out here, Carla. So we added an events team, all right, director of events and an event manager. Yes, oh, thank you. Those were added positions that did not exist before, but were needed given the scope of what we need. Case in point, the previous sales manager was also the event manager for all the events going on in the complex, which that's a big responsibility, and thus not able to really do what we would say an adequate job in either area. A lot of duties with that. So, in looking at that, those added positions, all right, which include a new director of operations as well, really come to a total of about, over that period of about $600,000. And that's the big difference on our salaries right there. The rest of those expenses were taken utilizing what we had from past history. I will tell you right now that is really, really streamlined and really cut to bare bones. So, if you look at operations, materials, and supplies, there's only $32,000 in there. If you look at facility operations, there's only $125,000. For a complex this big, that is bare bones. So, and obviously that's basic equipment, that's basic supplies, that's basic maintenance, just to try to keep the building, in its current condition. So then you add the OVG management fee in there, which is a set fee for this stub year. There's no quantitative, there's no qualitative in this stub year, so we're only paying the management fee back to OVG, and that's it. And it came out with a net operating loss of about $1.119 million. So I guess I will open up to questions now, concerns. There is the workup on, if we look at it here below, and I think you have it in your packets as well, just of how we came to all those numbers.
Sorry, you're locked out. Just for online.
So sorry. You can see these are the events and how we worked up to get to those revenue numbers. And that's everything that we had on the books. That doesn't, we did budget for some more events, but we were very conservative with that. If you look at the bottom there, it says large open concert, medium open concert, small open concert. All right, that's what we filled in thinking that we could bring this year.
And we have announced 6 new shows in the past 2 weeks. So we pretty much have all that covered right now. But trying to be very conservative with it.
Go ahead, Chad.
Mayor, members, Brad, thank you. Have you done a break-even analysis to determine exactly, to kind of come up with the targets that you have to hit to get us to a break-even as far as number of concerts, all the different type of event categories?
We haven't yet, Chad, just because we don't really have the history as once we get in. I think that is something that we will strive to do here fairly soon. Fortunately, with this stub year, it gives us time to get our feet set, kind of get an idea of what's out there in the market and what we can really obtain to bring in. We want to look at those dollars and those cents as we move forward here in the next few months. That'll give us a better perspective of where we're at and what we have to do. Again, can we get those large end concerts, or are we going to be more in the medium and the small type of events? Also, what kind of events we can create. So, it's a work in progress. Again, this is conservative. Hopefully, we're not much worse than this, but that's kind of where we're at the moment.
And knowing that 2027 is going to look different, because that's...
So, fortunately, with the 8-month stub year, it really gives us a chance to kind of get honed in and figure that out, with January 1 being full guns aboard.
Or 2027.
Or, excuse me, 27. I missed that year a lot.
Okay. Other questions? I think this does give us something to start to compare to. It's a roadmap, but knowing we've got some moving parts still.
Yeah, and just the additional employees, that's really the factor that is swaying where we're at.
So Brad, glad you're here.
Oh,
We're excited
thank
to have you
Thank
here. So just for clarification, in these open concerts, these 2 large open and 4 medium, those are filled.
The one large open is, the 3 mediums are, and the 1 small is.
Okay, so you still have 1 large open to fill.
Correct.
1 medium open to fill.
Correct.
Can you get more? Because just
Yes.
looking at looking at the arena. So we have an event there in May, and then the next event is August.
Yep.
So we have
So trying to fill June and July right now is
get-
really tough.
It is really
what
tough.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, what we're looking at now is November and December dates, and mostly spring and fall of 2027. Right, and in the booking world, you're 12 to 18 months in advance.
Okay. Just had to ask the question.
No, that's okay. But yes, we do have certain events in the pipeline that we're working on for November and December to fill those slots. So the announced shows that I can talk about here are Red Clay Strays, which is that large show for us. Home Free, which will be in the Bell. Charlie Barron's, which was listed right there. Tracy Lawrence, which was announced last week. And then tomorrow we have it's this morning at 10 o'clock, so I can actually announce it. We have Theory of a Dead Man coming in August. That's a heavy metal act. And that was just amounts to 10 a.m. this morning. So, and again, we do have others in the pipeline that we're working on.
Okay. Thanks, Brad.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Then we've got other business. My question would be to Jason, would it be appropriate to move number 11 ahead of the executive session?
I think that would be beneficial for everybody at the table if we, rather than adjourn into executive session and then come back and finish up. So if you need a motion to that effect, I'd be happy to do that, but if we can just have general consensus at the table that we grab number 11 right now, I think that's fine.
General consensus is there. Then we can move to the discussion on KPIs, and then other business will follow, and then we can go to executive session. So, Jason, you had some of those conversations, so.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Authority Board members. The last page of your printed packet, or if you're looking online, it's the attachment for number 11 on the agenda. It was added a little late to the agenda primarily because I just received this information Monday. This is a result of the consultants with JLL, Dan Fenton and Mitch Anzavino, continuing to work with representatives from OVG. As part of the contract, we had all agreed that there was value in having KPIs as part of the overall performance metrics. And the draft that we have here is by no means finalized, but I wanted to put it in front of all of you for just generation of discussion. Don't need to do it today, but thoughts on that final column, whether all 5 items are weighted the same at 20%, or if there's desire to weight certain things over one another, whether it be event mix as a higher priority than customer service survey results. I think that's part of the discussion that we can have here at the table, but just didn't want to lose sight of this one. Wanted to bring it forward so everybody had an awareness, and if there are comments or feedback, I'd be certainly glad to take that back to Dan. And I know he will continue to work with Rick from OVG to get this thing to the point where we're all comfortable. But if there's thoughts or ideas on what's here, I'd be happy to make those notes and get those back to Dan and Mitch so they can continue that work.
And my understanding, Mayor and members, is this is somewhat supposed to be after a stabilized year. It's not for now, it's after staff is up and running and they got a good handle on the building and moving forward. Is that correct?
That was my recollection, and then also, if I recall, there was a desire to perhaps look at these annually if there are priorities that change or areas that we would prefer to focus on. There could be additional KPIs, or maybe there are things that we don't see as much value in the future, and there might be other emerging topics that we would want to address.
Mayor, board members, I looked over these when we first got the packet, and I do have a couple comments. One, as we're talking about how to weight these, there's one in here where I don't really want to give any weight to be honest, is the financial performance, the gross revenue. We'll be getting the income and expenses every month and as a requirement. So to put any weight to them providing financial, the financials of the event center, they have to do that anyway. And so just by them giving us the financials, no offense, I don't know if I would want that as a KPI that we would weight for any type of quantitative performance goals, would be my comment. And there was trying to look back through my notes, I know that when we met with OVG, we decided to remove some KPIs that maybe didn't quite make sense, or maybe they were ambiguous, if you remember the meeting at the Civic Center. I can't remember which ones were removed.
So I wasn't able to attend that particular portion of the days they were here, but I don't have necessarily any concern of how we weight, the monthly reporting component. I think it's still an important piece. Maybe it has a lower weighting. I personally feel like, we're going to get to the net income. That's going to be a part of the,
Yes.
Those all matter, but event mix is important because that's going to drive economic impact. And so I would not weight them all equally. My thoughts are is the economic impact one probably gets a higher weighting than the rest do, just because it's important to the community, but it's also going to be driven by how that event mix is. Mm-hmm. So I would argue that, if I were going to throw numbers out there for people to consider, I'd say maybe a 30% weighting to the economic impact, probably a 20 to the event mix, and then split the balance in some other fashion across the other three, just because I think the event mix is what's going to help drive the economic value or benefit to us. It's also going to help the Convention and Visitor Bureau component, because it's important to what they're doing and how they're going to help this all go. So it probably helps Jen and the mall as well, and every business in the community. I don't know how the Oakview Group will view that weighting, but I don't think they're all equal.
Mayor, board members, I had a little bit of a different idea when I was thinking about the KPIs. I agree that all of these are important, but I was hoping that we would develop, and maybe they're separate KPIs within the financial performance, net income, whether we do that or not. But I'd like to have a goal for the revenue. I'd like to have a percentage to hit for operating costs, and I'd like to track labor separately. Have an expectation as to that we have to keep labor at or below a certain amount, and then somehow weigh the net income. We can have, good net income every month, but if we don't set a KPI to the labor, then that income will never, could potentially not be good enough. So I think this is a really good start what we have here, but I think we need to maybe get into the weeds a little bit more.
So Jason, can you work with Mitch and Dan, potentially maybe breaking apart or developing, if it's sub-performance factors within the financial performance? We could probably list those as components. That might give a way to give more credibility to how when they're scored, like the breakout of them.
Yeah, definitely. I can take these notes back and share with him, and if there's an update for next month, we'll bring it back and keep going.
Any other comments, members? Okay. Is there any other business before we go into executive session? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we enter into executive session on North Dakota Century Code 44-04-18.41 to discuss privileged information.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Ostalecki,
Yes.
Tomanek,
Yes?
Mayor Schmitz,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
and Walker.
Yes.